Hey there, I hope you're doing well. What you see behind me here is the bridge set for the Discovery spacecraft from Stanley Kubrick's film 2001 A Space Odyssey, which I think was released in 1969. Despite being a completely artificial environment, I do find it, at least conceptually, oddly calming. But we're not here to talk about film sets. And we're also not here to talk about Microsoft. Once again, I'm drifting from that particular topic, but I'll be drifting back to it soon because there's a lot to talk about in the Microsoft space. Today, however, I want to spend some time showing you a brilliant interface created by the Distributed AI Research Institute, Logic Magazine, and the AI Now Institute. And links to the websites for each of these organizations are below. The interface, introduced in a tweet, and that's right, I'm not calling it Xing or whatever we're supposed to be doing. I think we're past that. As I've mentioned before, and I'll probably mention a few more times just to be a nudge about it. It was posted on the 14th of August of this year, so only yesterday, really. Together, DAIR, Logic Mag, and AI Now have created Surveillance Watch. Let me read this from the website's About section. Surveillance Watch is an interactive map that documents the hidden connections within the opaque surveillance industry. Founded by privacy advocates, most of whom were personally harmed by surveillance tech, our mission is to shed light on the companies profiting from this exploitation with significant risk to our lives. Whether you're aware of it or not, there is a spider's web of companies and governments whose only mission really is to surveil us in one way or another, which has been made much simpler in the digital age because we leave footprints and traces in servers, on servers, and using the global internet. Now, what I'd like to do now, rather than just talk about how great this is to actually share my screen and show you. So let me do that. And let's see, Surveillance Watch, there we are. And let me share. And voila, there it is. The Surveillance Watch interface is divided into three main categories. So you see on the left here, the entities themselves, that is the companies, their targets, and who funds them. One of the things I always advise people to do is to trace the money, because in every instance, under capitalism, of course, people are searching for profit. Organizations are searching for profit. And if you find out who funds a particular initiative, then you have a really good idea of how to trace what their purposes are and well, how they're making money. And in this case, what we're talking about is making profit via surveillance. So let's start with surveilling entities, which is already selected. And to give you an example of the power and utility of this interface, let's go to OneByte, a company I had never heard of. And we get a great description of the company. OneByte is a Vietnam-based company operating a network of spyware apps and generating millions in revenue since at least 2016. And there's, of course, more here. And then we can look at to whom or what government agencies and what organizations the technology, OneByte's technology stack is provided to. The United States, Canada, Argentina, United Kingdom. Let's click on the United States. And then you see the surveilling entities that are that sell their services to U.S.-based firms. And also you'll note that the interface switches us to the known targets. That is to say, targets in terms of national targets, the populaces of particular nations who are targeted. And I really like the way that the interface gives us all the surveilling entities for a particular locality. Let's go back to or rather, let's go to funding organizations. And this is really, really critical information here. This is the kind of information that typically you don't get when you're talking about a technology firm or the technology industry generally. We hear all about apps, we hear all about widgets, but we very rarely hear about where the money comes from. And some of these names are familiar to me, others are not. It's a vast world of funding. So 1832 Asset Management, LP, is one of Canada's largest asset managers with over 15.11 billion in assets under management on behalf of retail, institutional, and private client investors. Now, think about what this means. This means that there is an asset management firm which is devoting a portion of its vast wealth, actually. Well, actually, I said 15.1 billion. That's my glasses getting in the way. It's 151.1 billion in assets. But to get back to my main point, billions in assets, things that seem relatively benign, retail, for example, and yet portions of their billions are used to invest in surveillance firms. And the surveillance firm that's being funded by 1832 is Elbit Industries. And so then we get information about Elbit. What this interface is showing you, and in fact, I think that this graphic does a very good job of giving us an illustration of this, is that what we are talking about is not one bad actor, two bad actors. We're talking about, well, as I say many times on this channel, the political economy, the web of activity that forms modern capitalist activity. And what we see here through this interface is that there is, in fact, a connection between various organizations that do not seem on the surface to be connected. Anyway, this is a fantastic interface. I do recommend you exploring it. I think it's very, I think it provides information that for many people will be revelatory, because we do tend to think of particular organizations, particularly on the technology side, if you're a technologist like me, as being, as I said, bad actors, but we are talking about a web. And it's important to understand that, because that gives us an idea of what our world is really all about. Anyway, I'll be back in another video very soon to talk about tech careerism, and then also I still have other videos I need to do on Microsoft and the military industry, the connections between that. So I hope you'll be back to enjoy those as well. Until then, ciao.